what's up, man?
Much?
Yeah, I don't know, buddy. Don't seem to be the day of the bite today. I don't know what's going on.
Well, it's better than the office.
Yeah, that is true.
Something to drink?
Yeah, man, I'm thirsty.
Yeah, I had it. Oh, thank you.
How was your drive down?
Good. It's beautiful out.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Nothing beats this.
Did you talk to anybody back at the office today yet?
No. No. It's,
It is summer.
what is today? I lose track sometimes. Thursday?
Yeah,
Nope. This is it, man.
it's great. Yeah, I don't know what the rest of the summer is going to look like, but
Hopefully a little bit more of this.
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
You know, when I think of 90 years, I really had 2 weeks in the summer of 1971. I was just out of the Army. I had 2 weeks I could fill. My father said, you want to do that for a couple? I said, sure. But then I moved to Atlanta, worked there a couple of years. So I really didn't start till 73. Well, 73 now is 48 years ago. So I've been in the company more than half of its life. My father started in 1933. He passed away in 1974, suddenly at age 65. Essentially, he had 41 years in the company. My grandfather founded it in 1932, but he was middle-aged, had lost his job during the Depression. My father was the one in 1933, really came in and moved the company forward and took it from essentially a 3-person or 4-person operation to maybe it was 15 people, but that was a good-sized company in 1974.
From the very beginning, it was about relationships, and that's with customers and employees. And you could see that from the top down. Like, our owner makes it his business to know your spouse's name and your children's names and their interests, what schools they go to. And he strives to make a connection with every one of his employees. So I recognized that early on, that it was really not, it was a business, yes, they wanted to make money, yes, but it really wasn't about that. It was more about relationships.
Tevis from the top down and the management below the top down, which is Jack Tevis, makes you feel like you're part of a family. We're here to do the best for the company and the customer, and that guarantees a satisfactory customer relationship and a valid business or a good business for Tevis Energy.
You know, we feel like we're part of something bigger than our own little organizations. So from my perspective, we're a team that is focused on something bigger than what we're doing individually. Would you agree, Mark?
I do. I think it's a lot to do with the smaller knit feeling that we have, and we don't necessarily have numbers that are on our employees' side. It's a much closer knit family.
I did payroll for a period of time.
1981 till the kids came along, 1985.
I was still doing it when Tori came because there were moments where you actually did take care of Tori because I needed to do payroll. Let's see. So the old space, before you did any of the add-ons, it was unfinished floors, like a warehouse floor. How many offices? They weren't offices. There was the office that had been your dad's office. And so he was in there, and everything else was people sort of in like this U-shape layout. It was dark, and they just had desks plopped along the way. There was no computer.
It was 1981, our first computer, Quantel. Yeah.
1981 was the first computer.
We had to build a room to hold it and had to air condition the room. And the size of the computer was probably 4 foot wide, maybe 18 inches or 2 foot deep, and it was off the floor. And it was a total capacity was 40 megs. Our cell phones today are 256 gigs. which is, like 1,000 times or 10,000 times that capacity of what this computer was in 1981, the Quantel we had.
And how many employees were there when I was doing the payroll versus now?
If it was 1981, 40 years ago, we were probably in the 20 to 25 person range, something like that. Yeah.
I felt like it was more than that, but nothing like it is now.
Yeah. So
I couldn't do that. They had to hire somebody that knew what they were doing for the bookkeeping. A first grade teacher with some math skills could sort of do payroll.
You did fine. You did well. You did well.
We had no second floor when I started here. We had no dispatch area when I started here. That's all been added. Tevis Propane and Tevis Oil used to be here in the same office. Tevis Propane now has their own showroom and office in Hampstead, Maryland. That business has continued to grow. We have continued to grow as an oil company and other petroleum products through acquisitions of smaller companies, integrating them well into our system. And it's been a very, very satisfactory relationship. And the growth over the past couple of years is amazing.
What I find that's changed in the 5-6 years that I've been there is just the growth of the company. We were the first Pennsylvania acquisition, and since then we've had 15 acquisitions, and it's been a lot of growth that I've seen over the last 5 years.
I came to work here in 1981. We worked out of the old Kegel building on Manchester Road. It was a dirty little dingy place. But the employees worked very hard with a small group of us. We were a heating air conditioning company, and I had no idea what that meant when I come to work here. My wife doesn't understand pretty much why I do what I do. It's because I love the company. I've seen lots of changes. From when I started, there was probably 5 technicians. Today here at Modern Comfort System, we have approximately 99 employees.
I was thinking about it the other day. Even 13 years back, we went from having 3 offices that I'm aware of to today, 13 years later, there's probably 13 or 14 offices that I know of. There could be more out there, but 13 or 14 that I'm aware of over a 13-year time frame. So when you look at growth for the organization over that time frame, it's been pretty significant. I don't know how many employees we had back then as a family of companies, but we're probably pushing 300 employees today, as Tom said, 99 of which are here at Modern Comfort Systems. And you start doing the math on how many families that the Tevis family of companies has impacted over the 90 years that we've been in business. You multiply that times the 300 employees that we have now, and there's probably thousands and thousands and thousands of families that have benefited from the Tevis family of companies being in business.
It has forced us to adapt and change, but I'm going to say that within the last 5 years in particular, we have probably, from my perspective, changed more than we had in the last 20. And it was really just because of a different perspective on things. Anyone who knows me will tell you this. I am methodical. I like to think things through. I am not spontaneous. And the last 5 years have forced me to be none of that.
Tevis Energy makes our employees from our office at Penmar Oil part of a bigger scheme of things. They include us in their decision making when appropriate and help to keep us as a family unit type of situation in our company. We try to keep close contact with them as they do with us to keep a good flow of business happening and with our customers and employees.
So I actually came to Tevis via acquisition from Liberty Oil. It was our family business for 3 or 4 generations, and I will say it was a very nerving time with that transition going from small Liberty Oil to large Tevis Energy. And I really I got injected into the business right at the start of a massive growth pattern.
So about 2 years ago, we were in the process of acquiring Shuey and Hoffman into our Tevis family of companies. And they had gotten to a point where they were running a little bit behind on their deliveries, but the acquisition wasn't completed yet. And in an effort to help out and show good faith to to the Shuey and Hoffman team as well as its customers, prior to the acquisition, we had actually sent up drivers from our Tevis team to help get them caught up and get through the season. So I thought that was kind of interesting that it was just all around people pitching in to help out to solve a problem that wasn't even ours at the time, knowing that it was probably going to be eventually, but about a month or 2 months prior to the settlement date, we ended up having a couple team members volunteering to go up and help their customers out.
20 years ago from today, when we started propane, we actually had a bulk plant and a delivery truck before we had one customer. So what we did is we went out and we got that first customer and installed that first tank. And to think about that setup where it was basically 2 employees related to propane to today. Today we have 37 employees. And we have roughly 6,000 customers. So big change from that point to this point.
You've seen other companies that employee becomes more of a number, and it's easy to forget the personal side of things. But for us, it's each person is an individual, and we focus on what we can do to help that person in that time of need. I've seen multiple times when that happened this year and last year and the year before. Family does come first here, and it's very important to have the work-home balance, and the organization strives to make sure that that's always first in mind. Whether you have children at home or you have a wife that needs something, it's always take care of family first, and work will be there, and I'm very thankful for that.
A year ago today, June 14th of 2020, I lost my sister, who was a partner. That was a hard blow for us to work around, but Tevis was there for me to help and accommodate in many ways to see that things went smooth for us. We were able to bring things together, and just because of their help and their support, that made it a lot easier for me.
Back in September, my daughter was diagnosed with COVID-19, and we had to take her to the local hospital. They basically told us that the outlook for her with the COVID and with her asthma and with the pneumonia that she had was not looking good. So they immediately transported us to Hershey Hospital. We spent the next 6 days in Hershey Hospital. I think I started my day every day with Jack, and I ended my day every day with Jack. He was either on the phone with me or he was sending me a text, talking to my wife, talking to myself, just coaching us and helping us through that traumatic experience in any way that he could. I slept on the floor for a week in the hospital, in the lobby, but again, Jack offering to buy meals, put us in a hotel, whatever we needed. Jack just wanted to be able to help, and I just can't thank him enough, because again, he kind of pulled me and pushed me through that week that could have been a very ugly situation and ended up turning out for the best. So thank you, Jack, for all that.
There are a number of circumstances, I alluded to a few myself, with just, loss or joy that I've had in my life in the 4 years I've been with the company. But there unfortunately have been a number of employees that have gone through some really difficult times, whether that be some type of illness or cancer or family issues. And for both of us, being fairly new to the organization, it was new to see not this corporate response to the situation of the employee, but
individual.
Ultimately just an all hands on deck rally to try to support this employee one way or another. whether that's fundraising or sending cards or supporting them financially in some capacity to get through this time frame. It just sets apart the Tevis family of companies, I think, from really most others.
A person goes through life and gets new insights and does different things depending on what the situation is. And one of the things that I'm both proud of, but also realize that it involved some risk, was when Katrina happened in September of 2005. The need was so great in that area of the country that was hit by Katrina, New Orleans, that we had been contacted by a church.
A call had went out to all of the churches in our synod that a church down outside of New Orleans was housing all of the people who were displaced from Katrina. And they needed supplies desperately. So we organized this drive at my church. We were going to drive the stuff down there. It was within days this was happening. I had gone to Jack Tevis and I said, do you have a trailer? Anything we could use to drive down there. We needed more trailers. So he took that and ended up sending an entire fuel truck down there with gasoline. He himself made the trek down there with another one of our drivers.
So I don't have a CDL license to drive a truck that has gasoline on it, a tanker truck. But the need was great, and we had a dispatcher, Dan Burns, who agreed to go along, and he has a CDL license, and he did the driving during the night. I did the driving during the day, where he could be there to help coach and mentor my driving. He couldn't do all the driving. It was 16 or 17 hours down, 16 or 17 hours back. We got stopped along the way. We had to go through weight stations, and another thing, we were overweight. We were overweight with the amount of gasoline we had on the truck. It was a higher weight limit than what typically would be allowed. But once we showed what we were doing in the letter from the church, they waved us on through and were happy that we were doing what we were doing. I never got asked for my license along the way, which is a good thing. Anyway, that experience, sometimes you just have to do what you can to serve, and damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead. Let's do what we can to help those folks.
But that was something I'll never forget, that he could have easily thrown some money our way or rented a trailer for us. Nope, he took it upon himself. Tevis donated all that fuel, and then they were actually filling up people's vehicles that were stranded down there along the way.
When we got there and saw the need, as great as it was, we were in the back of a church parking lot, and we had retrofitted this 3,000-gallon tanker truck with a nozzle that could fill cars with gasoline.
My family talks about it all the time because they were some of the ones that went down there with him. But for me, that just proved that he leads by actions, not just words or not just money.
We were volunteers in 2005. In 2021, we're being paid by a contractor of FEMA in helping with Hurricane Ida in September. But it really gives our guys who are down there a lift, like they are doing something to help others. And we're really appreciative of the opportunity to be involved and to do something that makes a difference.
The interesting thing is the tone was really set 17 years ago or so now, when the owner of the company, Jack Tevis, took a fuel truck down to New Orleans to distribute gasoline. Well before we even thought about getting involved with emergency response. And that then was about helping people, and really now it is still about helping people in a time of need.
We saw a lot of devastation, lots of homes damaged, lots of businesses closed down, obviously, no electricity, supply of food was very limited. So we were down there for 21 days and we slept. There were definitely nights where we slept in the trucks because hotels were shut down or without power or electricity.
There's a gentleman that works on our team, Cretan Yost. He's our fleet analyst in our shop team. We had supplied him with a cot, and I had a conversation with him, and he had mentioned, "Man, I think for the next couple of days, I'm sleeping under the truck, under the meter register, on the cot, outside." And we said, "Man, do you need to switch out? What do you need anything? Right? Is there anything I can do to give you a better environment?" He said, "No, I'm actually quite all right."
So trying to plan and coordinate all of this is also is very, very challenging in the midst of everything going on. So we ended up going through a count of who had, AT&T and had to get like prepaid phones so that we could communicate down there. So luckily it wasn't too detrimental, but there were certainly areas where 2 or 3 hours at a time where we couldn't communicate to a certain individual or back and forth because of the spotty connection.
I'm not scared to go out and make a decision, whether right or wrong. Really what that helps is create an environment of progress pushing forward. And I always thought that was so unique. And Jack has set the tone for that for young guys like myself and others that we have on our team to go out and risk it and learn.
I've had an opportunity to learn. I've had an opportunity to make mistakes. And the company's always been there for me. There's been a lot of changes over the years. I think we're very blessed to be part of the Tevis family. And as being one of the more senior employees, I'm excited about the future. We've got young managers coming on board, and there's lots of growth going on. And my hope is that the new employees coming to the company can gain what I've gained, and that's peace of mind, both for me personally and my family. And again, if I had to attribute that to anything, it's really been to Jack Tevis and his wife Beth and our board of directors. All remarkable people, which makes this a remarkable company and makes me proud to be a part of that organization.
There's always been, and it comes from the top as well, a willingness to share and give back. So in the teams that I have been involved in, we have gone out and volunteered at the Special Olympics, Tournament of Champions. We volunteered at the Salvation Army. We have had drives for Shepherd Staff, NESAP, Carroll County Food Sunday. We have assembled lunches for like cold weather shelters. We had a kids' day where we made blankets for nursing homes. The giving back aspect is one of the things that I do love about working there, is that you're really empowered to and encouraged to find ways to give back to the community.
We had this idea to take one of our delivery trucks and paint it pink. And what we did is we went out to the community, we did many community events, and for every gallon of propane that ran through that truck, we made a donation to the American Breast Cancer Foundation. And it was a big ordeal for 3 years with that truck.
The unique way Tevis has been a part of the community has been, for example, the Boys and Girls Club on Main Street, Jack's donations to Carroll Hospital to build a wing, and other things like that. I mean, he's involved in a lot of charities and a lot of things that nobody knows about, and that's the way he wants it.
He was all about us always being out there in the public, helping in any way that we could. So I think of the American Heart Association. At one point, we raised almost $30,000 after one event for that organization. So just time and time again, we were constantly out there trying to help people in the community the best we could. And Jack has always taken on that mindset that the company's been very blessed over the years. He's been very blessed over the years, and he wants to be able to give back and help not only his employees, but also the people out in the community as well.
We call it the Winter Blast. And we ask anybody in the company that wants to join a driver to spend the day with the driver in a truck. Sometimes it's freezing cold, sometimes it's raining, sometimes it's snowing, and Jack's always willing to jump into a truck and learn and see, what everybody's going through. So it doesn't matter who you are in the company, you're always treated with the same respect.
I often think about when I'm making decisions, what would Jack do in this situation? I've never met a man in my entire life like Jack Tevis, and he's such a good man. He understands his people. He knows where he wants to go, and there's a special way that he goes about that to make sure people understand and support that direction while getting everybody's buy-in with it. And it's a really, really cool way he goes about that.
I'm still trying to figure out how Jack remembers everything. I wish there was, he must have some type of secret method to it, but I used the word genuine earlier, and you get that in just about every conversation with Jack. He's genuinely engaged in the conversation. He's genuinely listening to everything you have to say, and he remembers it. And the follow-up that he has, a week later, a day later, months later, years later, on what you discussed is just incredible.
Jack is so good in a crisis. He stays so calm in a crisis. An oil truck on an icy road had gone over by a stream bed. And so what he was dealing with was the hazmat people coming to soak up the oil to keep the oil from getting into the stream bed. And it wasn't until later that he told me why he wasn't able to come home to dinner that night. I grew up in a household where something spilling was a moment of crisis.
He is a great communicator, dedicated to his community and his church and his family. He's been a great mentor, and I know a lot of us who have come up through the ranks at Tevis look to him to emulate, because that is exactly the kind of leader you want to be. And I think that's what has probably kept me at Tevis all these years, is the fact that they have a leader like that, and he tries to find like people to be leading his company.
So I think just the general energy and thought of Tevis is to go above and beyond whenever possible to take care of the customer.
So as we're celebrating 90 years, I mean, that's quite an accomplishment, and with the good, hardworking and dedicated individuals that we have on the team, I mean, I think another 90 is, definitely in place.
Looking back over the past 90 years, 28 of those that I've been included in, wow, what a lot of change and growth, and all from a positive aspect. So, congratulations, number one, to Jack and his family on 90 years. Two is looking forward the next 90 years. Who knows what's in store? Hopefully I'll be around for a lot of those years, but it won't be 90. So
overall, grateful to be a part of this company and what it's done for our community. I look forward to being a part of it, as Dave referred to. The next couple of years. Not sure that I'll be here for the next 90 as well, but it's been a great ride so far, and looking forward to the future of Tevis.
It really is an opportunity to celebrate the culture and the heritage that has really built us up to this point. I mean, 90 years is a long time, right? And you think about all of the things that went into getting to this point, how people treat each other, and the culture and relationships internally. That's what I believe has built this business to last. We can use that as our cornerstone to then propel into the future with those values in mind. Many people wear it across their chest: quality, integrity, response. That's our 3 pillars, and that's been built all for the last 90 years, and we look to propel that into the future.
I would like to take an opportunity to thank Jack and his family and wish them or give them the best of congratulations on 90 years. The 40 years that I've been here has been remarkable. I can only envision what the future may look like.
I was looking over some companies over the weekend that have 90 years in business, and there's not too many of them out there. Across the United States, I think there's roughly 500 couple companies that have been in business that long. So, but you think of 90 years or 100 years, you think of big companies like UPS and Coca-Cola and Harley Davidson, really big companies, and we're one of those companies that's been in business for that 90 years. So that is truly something we should all be proud of, and it's certainly something that the Tevis family should be congratulated on. And for the business to be impacting this community, the Maryland and the Pennsylvania markets for 90 years is just really incredible. Thanks, Jack.
So I think of the perspective of 90 years and what happened between the Depression and my father's passing during his time, and how dramatic so many of them are for society, as we've talked about, just amazing the changes. And it sort of puts the changes at the company into a much smaller kind of box or arena, because the changes in society are just so dramatic. We all have that to think about and live with. And yeah, the company is what we do, and we take that seriously. We've been blessed and fortunate to have with some of the successes we've had over my term, the 40 some years now that I've been there, the 48 years. Again, you think of gratitude, you think of blessings, you think of the good things that have occurred, and our family, Beth in my life, our two children, Tori and Drew. Yeah, we've been so blessed, and all those changes are overwhelming, both in our small little arena, but also life in general over that time. So sometimes I'm just in awe of it all, and how amazing it's all been, and it's really been a really good run. It's really been a good run in so many ways.
So that's a wrap?
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Man.
It's 11. You know what that is?
Lunch.
Lunchtime.
That's right.
Let's get some.
I was just going to say, she has a pillow she gave me not too long ago that basically says, Jack, we've been through a lot together, and I want you to know most of it has been your fault.